Okay guys, so let's begin with the 42-inch Mortal Kombat massive cabinet, but also like a slim edition. So now with the new generation of Chinese arcades, what we're going to get are of course LCD panels. I think we're going to get these things for a very long time now, but like they are improving the LCD panels inside, some have even having IPS panels. But then overall, when you're looking at the marquee, when you're looking at the side, oh man, some of these stickers are completely messed up or squeezed or they're stretched up because basically they're using like the old school decals and they are messing it up, man. Like some things doesn't look that great when you're giving a very good look at it. So look at this, like they are using the original artwork, but it looks kind of weird and kind of squeezed in some ways. So I find a little bit of a bummer that I'm thinking, hey, why are you not making something unique? Especially when you're making a completely different model when it comes to the quality. And overall, the wood quality, they are using very thick MDF. And this is what you're going to get with most of these cabinets. But there are also like some minor differences when it comes to, let's say, the artwork quality, what kind of quality we're going to get, but also with the T-molding, joysticks, and you name it. I do like this model. I don't like this, let's say, metal plating where you can put your feet on. I like the way it looks slim, but then overall I am not the biggest fan of this model, but I still wanted to put it in this video. Despite it's a slim model, it's still a gigantic machine when you're looking at the back. The form factor is kind of weird in my opinion. And yeah, if you're looking at what's inside, there is not even a PC or something like inside. Most of the time, this one was even running on the Pandora box number 6 back in today. They also messed it up with the dragon logo at the front. They are basically facing the same way. A little bit of a bummer, like at least like mirror the one at the right. The display itself looks very nice. And 42-inch is just a gigantic display for an arcade machine. Yeah, widescreen combination with the Pandora box, it doesn't squeeze it back to 4x3 or having like bezels with a Raspberry Pi. That's a little bit of a bummer. And overall, like I did notice like with this cabinet, the quality of the buttons is not that great. Like some of the companies will sell actually like Senwa buttons and joysticks, but this thing has like the wiggle Chinese joysticks with the horrible cheap Senwa clone buttons. It's a little bit of a bummer, but it does the job. The classic retro arcade all-in-one. So here in the Netherlands, they are selling, or they sold a lot of these arcade multi-games. And they were like packed up with a lot of classic games. The classic arcade marquee doesn't look that bad and the side is not bad at all. But when you're looking at the front, it looks kind of weird. Like they actually squeezed some pictures together and we're having this gigantic cabinet with this tiny coin mechanism. It's kind of weird. But then overall, what you're going to get with this was really going back to the basics. No fancy 42-inch screen. What you're going to get is like this horrible, like the most horrible joystick I have ever filled in combination with 3 buttons. So what I hated about this cabinet is like 3 button layout is not good enough, because if you want to upgrade it with something else, you need to drill some holes. Also, it comes with a very tiny special rotated LCD display, because I must say that this device or this arcade cabinet was specially made for the old school games. So you need to think about Donkey Kong, PacMan, Dig Dug, you know, like where we're going to need a vertical display. And this device was specially made for that. So also, if you want to upgrade it, that's going to be an issue. Maybe there are still some sellers in your country selling this arcade machine, but overall I want to include it in my list because I think it's quite interesting. It's a real classic one when it comes to the games. There are not even a lot of games, but there were some fun games on them. So we're a little bit spoiled with all the stuff we can buy nowadays. So the arcade has a lot of classic ones, Mappy, PacMan, Galaxian. You can upgrade it if you drill some extra holes for the buttons. You can rotate the display inside. So there were some options with this, quite interesting. But the classic arcade is one of my less favorite ones. But again, I just wanted to include it in this video. Next up, Marvel vs Capcom, the full-size arcade slim that I've reviewed some time ago. So this is a great example of how cool these cabinets can be. I went to the same store again and he asked me to make a video about this cabinet, and I would love to, because I'm a big fan of arcades and Marvel vs Capcom, I love it. The weird thing is like it's a Marvel Capcom 3 cabinet, and of course we're having the game Marvel vs Capcom 2. There is no Marvel vs Capcom 3 game in it. Kind of weird, but okay, confusing. But and overall, like you can see, like it's a sim model. It looks slightly different than the Mortal Kombat edition, because here you can see we're having quite some differences when it comes to these cabinets. quality wise, but also the artwork on this thing was just fantastic. It looks amazing. The coin door, actually like this gigantic coin door, everything looks like a really nice high quality product. I must say that this model didn't came with a trackball. The new edition does. Just wanted to point it out. So we're having like high quality buttons now, like we're having like the authentic arcade buttons, or the authentic arcade buttons I know of, like the roll and travel one with the clicky switch on it. And the joysticks are actually like the real Senwas. Okay, but I wanted to point out the Pandora Game 3D is in this machine, and personally this is one of my favorite boards. And yeah, there is still a lot of improvement needed with this one, but it had a lot of potential and was way better than Pandora's Box number 6 that I have shown you in the beginning of this video. It comes also with an, let's say, the Chinese famous amplifier that we can... So you can use this device as a marvelous Capcom arcade machine in your home, but you can also just use it if you want to earn some money. Okay, volume control over here. We can change out the treble, the bass and the balance. Like, these amplifiers are quite cheap and quite basic. The audio of this machine was just okay. I'm always like missing a subwoofer in these things. Like the two tiny, let's say 2 times 10 watt speakers are okay, but they are like always high pitched, and personally I'm not a big fan of them. But yeah, the game looks amazing on this beautiful display that comes in these slim cabinets. And overall, like with the Pandora Game 3D, we're going to get a lot of good performance, or good as it is most of the time. Of course, you can see like we're having the wiggle feet, like all the problems with the Pandora's Box, but I think like this is the best which you can get if it comes to Pandora's Box and performance. Fun fact, like Tekken 6 is playable even with 2 players and some of the other PSP games. PlayStation 1, it looks very good, but it is widescreen, so it's going to be stretched out like hell, and there is no way of changing it if you're going to leave the software original. Alright guys, it's time for the Mortal Kombat full-size bar top. And the reason I wanted to add this in the list is because this thing looks way better than the first model I've reviewed. Like, there are some minor things I don't like, but when it looks like the artwork on the side, it doesn't look that squeezed like the other one. So also this one comes with a 4:3 aspect ratio monitor, what I find very interesting because most of these arcades nowadays have like widescreen displays. So this device was also powered by a Pandora's Box, so far I can recall it. It has the same quality like the buttons, but also for the nice Senwa joysticks. And I want to point out that this is something that is not common. I noticed like with all these machines I've reviewed and also I've double checked sometimes, is that you can see like there are quite some differences with the joysticks and the buttons, and I hate it when you buy something for a lot of money because these devices are not very cheap to buy. I need to replace the buttons and the joysticks because they are so freaking awful. See, the only thing I didn't like was having the Mortal Kombat decal, and there is one button hole that's basically drilled through the M. See, that like the minor things that really annoys me. I would say like remove the Mortal Kombat or make it smaller so it basically looks a little bit better. Like the minor things that they just mess up in my opinion. You can see from the side decal a part is missing from his arm because the decal is not positioned correctly. But then overall it comes with a very nice IPS beautiful display and it looks amazing. Especially when you want to have the original aspect ratio, you can play the game like it should be. Okay, I need to point out that he did fix it after doing this review, because this is something that happens in some of the factories, like Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 with a Mortal Kombat 1 cabinet. And I must say that I don't understand of him, like they instantly sent a new marquee for his machine, so very glad that they fixed it, because that is in my opinion a no-go for me. Like everything needs to be perfect, especially when you're paying a lot of money for these devices. They're also going to get with the same amplifier like all of these machines, the same cheap ones. The amplifiers will do, let's say, good enough when it comes to 2 little speakers. Next up, the PacMan Classic vertical arcade cabinet. In the beginning, when I was starting YouTube, a lot of these, let's say, resellers had this PacMan and some other versions. This one did came with a trackball. It's very unique because in trackball you don't see it on old cabinets. Nowadays with the new generation of arcade cabinets you see like a lot of trackballs. But I find it quite interesting because this device has been completely specially made for the arcade classics. You need to think of course like Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Burger Time, the games that just requires a vertical display. So you're still limited. So there's no way of swapping the display, so what you see is what you're going to get. Most of the times these devices will run on a very old piece of hardware. Maybe you can find them, or basically if you can find this thing for cheap, you can slap a Raspberry Pi in it. It can do some amazing stuff. You can also play some shmups with them. The T-molding, the chrome T-molding, I think it's looking very nice, but that's of course my personal taste. The marquee light up looks very nice. The only downside I find, like you see the two pieces of metal to hold the marquee on place, but even the side art of Pac-Man looks very nice. Okay, but this cabinet, it's a really nice looking cabinet, and that's the reason why I included it in my personal favorite list. Okay guys, so let's go with the show and let's see what we're going to get more, because there was so much stuff you can get when it comes to arcade in 2021. Okay guys, so next up, Sonic the Hedgehog custom full-size bar top. Okay, this is a custom version. And I just needed to put it in my list because I am a big Sonic the Hedgehog fan and this thing looks quite good. It's not one of the beautiful, most best epic bar tops I've seen, but it looks kind of fancy. I wanted to include this in my collection of arcades for 2021, and this is not a top 10 whatsoever. And the reason why, because I just wanted to show some awesome products that I found in the last couple of years. It's open from the back. And I did show the new Geo version of this guy because here in the Netherlands there is a guy who makes these, let's say, custom made cabinets, and using good quality wood. This thing is powered by a Raspberry Pi. So far I know this was the main thing he always used. It was the Raspberry Pi 3B+. So this thing is capable of running up to PlayStation without any problems. The Raspberry Pi, yeah, I must say that it works way better sometimes than the Pandora's box. Only it is less friendly when it comes to people who don't like to tinker with stuff. But overall, it has a lot of potential. It does a really cool piece of hardware. It has a 4x3 aspect ratio cabinet. So something that I really liked. Another thing I didn't like were the marquees. The marquees were pretty basic. It was just a sticker slapped on it. It still looks nice because this cabinet is quite old. So it's not really that fancy like the previous models I have shown you here in this list. But overall it looks kinda cool. So if you're a big fan of Sonic like me, I would like just to have it for my Sonic collection. It's a really cool thing. The side art is a kind of weird, it's the marquee and some decals like the retro Sonic, but they are using the modern Sonic at the side. I'm not a big fan of it. I would like to see having a classic Sega/Sonic arcade. But yeah, there was not a lot to say about it. It got a Raspberry Pi and very nice, beautiful, old school 4x3 aspect ratio, just an old school monitor that he is using. Yeah, at least don't leave it open at the back because I hate it. But overall it plays very nice. It got just the clone Senwa joystick and buttons. But overall I just wanted to include it because it's a really cool cabinet to see. Next up, the PacMan Classic full-size cabinet. It's a copy of the Classic, but with some minor improvements. So to begin with, we're going to get a 6-button layout. Because even if this thing looks similar to an old school Classic one, come on guys, everybody wants to play more than only Pac-Man games. And that is what they are going to do with these old school cabinets. I know that this thing was in different versions, we're having the Mario edition, we're having Fix-It Felix, Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. I think there were 4 different versions I've seen. Some have of course always minor differences. I don't like the coin door, by the way, on this thing, because it's covering up the front decal. And overall the quality is not bad at all. And that's using the same quality wood. The T-molding is orange. I think it looks kind of fancy with this. It's better than black or chrome. But overall the quality of the stickers were not that bad. The guy who I made this video for back in the day, I think he doesn't have this cabinet anymore on stock because he has moved on to the slim edition that I've shown you here earlier in the video. What I don't like is the coin door because it's basically covering up the full sticker. a little bit of a bummer in my opinion. It comes with the same high quality Sambo joysticks and it comes with the arcade buttons, the long travel ones. What I really like about these cabinets, the way how they did the cable management. Look at this. It looks really nice. And you also can see like you can switch out the monitor, like putting it differently, 45 degrees. So I like it. It comes still with a very old mainboard, but you can swap these out with, for example, a Pandora's box. And not to forget, you can swap the monitor. You have 6-button layout, so you can convert this to a better machine. So what I like about these machines, they look nice. You can upgrade them always later if you want to. So in overall, it's not a waste of money. If you need to do some maintenance or swapping out buttons, you can remove this very easily, the control panel itself, and swap out some things. And overall, the monitor has a VGA connection. There's not a problem with the Pandora's box. But I want to say like a little bit of a bummer in my opinion. I wish they had like HDMI. Okay guys, so we're finishing up this video with the crazy expensive 10K plus arcade machine. Yes, seriously, so this thing was super expensive. I'll explain you short why this is. Would say check out the full review if you want to have more information in general. So this machine was made by Daniel. So Daniel is a very creative guy and he wanted to make an ultimate arcade machine. He did see a lot of my videos and he was thinking, hey, it's all fun and game, but for me, I want to have something that is completely overkill. So he designed this cabinet, including the art from scratch. Everything you see, he made it by himself. There is no Chinese factory that basically make this. There are some guys in the US that have stores that can buy the kits. That's getting really close because I have also like these crazy things you can do with it. And by the way, most of them don't have a mini fridge in it. But what I like about this machine is that you can basically play everything. This thing is packed with a PC inside, in combination with Hyperspin. But what makes this thing so expensive? It's not a mini fridge, no, not at all. So what makes this thing super expensive is that everything he is using, like not the cup holders, not the fans or the PC. The PC is expensive. There's like, I think like the PC at least is like 1,000 euros. But it's the control panel where he spent a lot of this money. So first of all, everything is from Ultimark. And Ultimark is just super high quality. It plays fantastic. But everything you buy from them are just completely over the top when it comes to the prices. But of course, quality needs to be paid. So that includes like the buttons. If you go into car, start counting how many buttons you're needing in a setup like this, you can tell you that will explain why it is so expensive. I'm not even talking about the trackball, the joystick, the spinners that he used, but also all the encoder boards that you need to buy. Because everything is from the brand Ultimark. And of course not the cheap ones, no, the RGB version, including the freaking ball tops are like RGB. It's just one big disco show, if you ask me. And to make it even more crazier, he added an extra screen inside the panel itself. And also what you're going to get is an Elgato Stream Deck. The spinners are just super high quality. They are not like compared with the Ed Game spinners. They are even having some extra weight to it to spin a little bit longer. So it's just over the top in every single way you can think of. So in overall, I want to save the most crazy and the most awesome machine that I ever reviewed here on the channel for the last position. Again, this is not really in top 10, I just wanted to show off some products that I've reviewed and make a collection in 2021. So let me know in the comments, what do you think of all of these cabinets? Do you own an arcade cabinet and what kind do you own? I want to thank you for watching, consider subscribing, hit that little bell, become on the Wicked family, and don't forget to check out the most expensive arcade machine review that I did last year. It would be great to have you here, so hit that little bell and I'll see you in the next one.